I did not like the sound. I did not like the sound. Problem var.
Çok problem.
Çok problem.
Çok problem.
I don't think it's a good sign if the bossman says that we can't leave in our own car. Welcome, friends. We have made it to Ankara, the capital city of Turkey, and today we want to share with you a story how we brought our foreign-plated car to a Turkish mechanic. It was a bit of risky and uncertain thing to do, because would they charge us more because we are tourists, or maybe we couldn't even tell them what's the problem with the van due to the language barrier. But that's how it all began. By now, we've been on the road for about 50 days, driven 5,000 kilometers on our way from Europe to Japan. And it's clear for such a harsh and long journey, our van needs to work well. Well, we took a risk, and I will show you the story first, and then you can decide for yourself if the risk was actually worth it. When we arrived in Ankara, we headed straight for the mechanic. We have made it to a garage. We showed up unannounced and were just hoping that they would have time for us. As a first thing, the boss found a screwdriver in our engine compartment and probably realized that the day would be full of surprises for him as well. It's not supposed to be there. After a few moments, we are gonna go on a test drive to actually see what's wrong with the machine. Trying to sneak by the language barrier, we used body language. This, by the way, means that the van is steering to the right. Also, Google Translate helped us to let Mustafa know that we also need a full service, so that our van would make it all the way to India. Google Translate, thank you. I didn't want to say Japan, because otherwise maybe he would have wanted to rebuild it into a boat. Once we got back, it was time to take a closer look at the van. And well, that's when the trouble started. While me and Liisu were posing upstairs, I heard Mustafa's voice calling me downstairs. Problem var.
Problem. Çok problem.
Çok problem.
Çok problem.
Ay ay ay. Exhaust pipe has a hole. Pull the handbrake on, it sometimes stays on. I have fixed it myself. Did you hear that? It's like the worst thing you can say to a mechanic. Honestly, the highlights of my mechanical career are fixing this handbrake that now needs to be fixed again, and repairing some fuel lines with electrical tape. Surprisingly, Mustafa didn't seem to mind that I was a total rookie, and he even let me help in the process. Look how happy I was. I have a job now as well. And there was only 2 guys supervising me while I pulled the handbrake up and down, up and down. I think the first thing done, we got the handbrake right fixed. But that was the simplest thing. Now the real work begun. We found more problems. I did not like the sound. I did not like the sound. Was your problem?
Problem. Direkt yapmazsa olur bu.
It's turbo, and I thought I had it fixed in Estonia, but as it turns out, probably not. Now the boys started working on them. I think it might have looked something like this. New brakes, new filters, the whole shebang. Why I think it looked like this is that in the meanwhile, Mustafa showed us to his office. Liisu got the best seat in the house, and by the look on her face, she was enjoying the authority that came with the throne. At the same time, we were talking about going somewhere and leaving the van here. The head of the mechanic shop, Mustafa, just said that we're gonna have to jump in his car. I don't think it's a good sign if the bossman says that we can't leave in our own car. I looked Freyja, our home, for the last time, not knowing when would we see her again. Must be stressful for the guys, because I'm always around with a camera just filming. And then it was time to leave. We realized fast that leaving the garage was not because of our van, but because Mustafa wanted to show us something. And this something was his village. It was a calm and cozy place. Empty streets and small homes. Although we're only a few kilometers away from Ankara, you can smell it in the air that you're in a countryside. By this, of course, I mean the smell of cow poop. But we all know that it simply goes together with countryside, doesn't it? Once there, we helped to empty the car and were welcomed to Mustafa's garden. We have made it to Mustafa's countryside home. Wow! It was like a green oasis in the yellow Anatolian landscape. Straight away, our new host started picking fresh produce for us. Tomatoes, peppers, even eggs, and of course, apples. It must be the first time that our mechanic invites us to his home. And we felt so welcomed. On our way back, we made another stop. An ice cream stop. But the surprises did not end there. I think I've never walked into a mechanic shop like this. We got back here and I had to Google translate the next order from the bus. What was it?
Go and eat.
Absolutely crazy. Where else in the world you come to a mechanic shop and they feed you? Every day they have a big lunch in the workshop. And this time we were invited. It was delicious. And we almost forgot that we had come here to fix our van, not as guests or friends. We have a 3-course meal on the table, just crazy, and it's delicious. Then Mustafa took me for another ride, and this time to another mechanic. They didn't do such fixes in their own shop, but I think it was incredible that a head of the place was willing to give up his own time to help us out. All the holes in our van were welded shut. And when driving back, there was no more sound or any problems with the turbo. Lastly, we checked if our suspension was ready for the rough roads ahead. And then it was time for the final step. How much would such thing cost in your country? New brakes, oil change, new filters, welding, and about 5 hours of work. Negotiations were hard. And in the end, he charged us about 180 euros. I couldn't believe it. Even the parts in Europe would have been more expensive. And the whole day was just an amazing and pleasant experience we will never forget. Well, my friends, I'm sure that now you can see why we didn't fix our van in Europe before we started this journey. We never knew that visiting a mechanic can be such a pleasant experience. And last thing before leaving, they put in new coolant, they put in more window wash, everything was topped up. And of course we're gonna leave Mustafa's contact down in the description. It's the least we can do to repay his kindness. And honestly, if you're in Ankara and you need your machine repaired, that's the place. It really was a pleasure sharing this adventure with you today. And next time we're gonna continue with quite a big topic. How expensive is Turkey? And more than this, we're also gonna invite you into our private lives and show you how 2 unemployed YouTubers are able to travel like this. And we will talk more closely, how much do we spend each month and how does this social media thing make us money. And if you have any other questions, make sure to leave them down in the comments. Hopefully we can answer them in the next video or just down there in the comments. Until then, make sure to check out that playlist over there to see our whole journey so far from Europe to Japan, and we will see you next time. Bye.